Today, we are delving into the natal chart of Irene from Red Velvet. Unfortunately, her time of birth is unknown, so we're working without an ascendant, using a solar chart where the ascendant is the same as the sun placement. Also, Irene is my ultimate female crush. Of course, she's stunning, but she has a moon in Virgo. And as a fellow Virgo moon, I find her relatable and I genuinely just like her. There's just something about her that resonates with me and I truly admire her. So I'm so excited to explore her astrology. Irene has her sun in Aries. The sun is making square aspects to Uranus and Neptune, a trine to Jupiter, and a sextile to Saturn. This makes me really curious as to what her ascendant and midheaven placements are, because her sun shows a completely different image to how she presents herself. The Aries sun suggests that she's very independent, impulsive, and bold, especially with its trine to Uranus. There is a side of her that is ruthless and unforgiving. Neptune is what makes her sensitive, gives her a soft and otherworldly allure, and Saturn grounds her, makes her cautious and more of an introvert. Still, Aries Sun and Uranus makes her very quirky, loud, and unpredictable, which does show in her reactions and speech when she's relaxed and comfortable or when she's not trying to be on her best behavior. The sun is separating from its aspects to Saturn, which means that Saturn's influence was more prominent earlier in her life. As she matures, she can harness the supportive energy of Saturn's sextile to navigate situations with greater diplomacy, restraint, and composure. Saturn can help her conceal her emotions or detach when necessary, offering a protective layer of boundary and poise. I mean, it's still restrictive in the sense that it encourages her to conceal the parts of herself she prefers to keep private. It helps her establish clear, solid boundaries, giving her the tools to safeguard against vulnerability or unpredictable situations. This influence can feel limiting and often does appear as rigid. But in the sextile, and with help from both Jupiter and Venus, she's accepting of Saturn's impact. She's less likely to resist or feel deprived, which is usually how Saturn's energy is often experienced. She embraces it as a source of control and stability. Her moon in Virgo also adds to an introverted and introspective nature. Internally, she is a bit anxious and nervous and tends to notice the smallest of misalignments. Her sensitivity to imperfections often drive her to seek order and refinement in her environment and within herself. She's likely to be very impulsive and impatient as well, with the moon's square to Mars. She's emotionally reactive or quick to act without forethought. This is where Saturn actually helps her. Saturn helps her slow down, think before she reacts, and bring a sense of structure and discipline to her more spontaneous impulses, guiding her towards more thoughtful and measured responses. Moon square Mars is actually a pretty dangerous combination. If, for example, her moon or Mars rules her 7th house, it could signal a likelihood of attracting dangerous or challenging men or difficult marriage and partnerships. Otherwise, the tendency for quick flare-ups in emotional temperament is likely, making her easily irritable and vulnerable to stress. Mars and Moon combination brings the temperamental nature of Mars into the domestic home life, so it can be indicative that early home life might have been chaotic and there might have been a lot of conflict or arguments. As such, she can be very sensitive to conflict and quick to sense threats. This contact requires conscious effort to manage, as it can easily lead to outbursts or moments of regret. Virgo moons find comfort and emotional security in structure, order, and well-laid plans, steady, practical elements that create a sense of grounding. However, Mars in Gemini craves versatility, constant change, and mental stimulation, needing a dynamic flow of activity to feel at peace. This conflict makes it challenging for her to find a harmony between the two, preventing her from feeling fully at ease or satisfied in both areas at the same time. The moon trine to Neptune imbues Irene with a dreamy, idealistic nature, connecting her to a rich inner world of imagination and spiritual depth. Its sextile to Pluto adds a layer of emotional intensity, pushing her towards extremes and transformative experiences. Mars and Pluto fuel her endurance and ability to withstand challenges. She is strong and has more grit than people would expect of her. Despite her outward calm, she harbors a deep well of emotional power and tenacity. For Irene, feeling alive often comes with emotional highs and lows. She craves constant action and change to feel an inner peace, and stillness is likely to feel unsettling and deeply unproductive to her. When nothing is happening in your life, then she's likely to feel the anxiety and nervous energy of her Virgo moon. This anxiety can drive her to constantly seek new experiences or distractions to feel at peace. The moon quincunx to Mercury makes it difficult for her to express herself or speak her mind. The moon and Mercury don't connect or see one another in this aspect, making it difficult for her to articulate her emotions or thoughts clearly. This disconnection can lead to feelings of inadequacy when it comes to expressing herself, especially since your moon in Virgo is ruled by Mercury. However, this ruling planet Mercury cannot fully support or connect with the moon, which can leave her feeling unheard or misunderstood. Her emotional expression may lose its impact, leaving her with a sense of frustration or emotional blockage, as if her inner world is hard to communicate or translate into words. Mercury in Aries square Jupiter and sextile Mars shows that Irene has an impulsive mind and an immediate style of speech. Jupiter and Mars give mental restlessness and impatience. This combination also gives her a tendency to think big. She has grand ideas, sees the best in situations, and often holds lofty expectations. While her optimism and enthusiasm can be inspiring, it can also lead to moments of overconfidence or boastfulness, and she may overestimate her abilities or the outcomes of her ventures. Her Venus is strong in Taurus. This is a grounding and practical element that can provide more of a balance to the Mars-Mercury combination. Taurus provides good judgment and common sense related to social situations, sensual and aesthetic taste, and romantic aspirations. However, Venus square Saturn can create challenges around feelings of unworthiness in love, difficulty accepting affection, and resistance to changes in her social life. She may struggle with adapting to shifts in her romantic or social dynamics, often questioning people's intentions or benefits of these connections. Fortunately, Venus's trine aspect from Uranus and Neptune offer a counterbalance. These influences bring a sense of openness, creativity, and emotional depth, allowing her to embrace change more gracefully and fostering a deeper understanding of love that transcends traditional boundaries. In a sense, the supportive influence of Uranus and Neptune provides tools like creativity and compassion to navigate social challenges or romantic hurdles. Still, Saturn instills some harsh but real truths that make it difficult for Irene to relax and enjoy the pleasures of life. Saturn gives a pessimistic outlook, the need to be modest, to be humble, and dress down. And along with a Virgo moon, it's challenging for Irene to accept herself as she is without seeing flaws or areas that need improvement. For Irene, though, it's less about external validations, but her own acceptance. It's more difficult for her to navigate her own judgment and assessment. This is partially because Venus is independent in its own sign. Saturn, of course, does present delays and constraints in love, but it gets easier as she gets older. Irene might marry someone younger than herself due to Venus trine Uranus and the conditions of her Sun and Mars. It's possible for her to achieve some sort of romantic fantasy or aspiration with Neptune and Venus. Neptune trine to Venus colors Irene's love style as compassionate and empathetic. Although she could be quirky and unpredictable at times, she has a soft heart and a desire for unconditional love. Mars in Gemini needs a lot of change and action, as we've already discussed. I read somewhere that in evolutionary astrology, Mars in Gemini likely lived past lives of solitary stagnation or isolation. So this placement reflects the soul's desire to break free from prior limitations and engage in a wide range of experiences for a well-rounded and dynamic life. Basically, Gemini Mars compels Irene to explore diverse and multifaceted ways of living. Irene's actions and assertions are fueled by curiosity and a desire to acquire knowledge and experience. Mars also shows the type of qualities in a man that Irene is attracted to. Gemini shows that she is drawn to talkative, curious, and intelligent types. She's drawn to men that have a more youthful appearance or young energy, full of life and spirit. She might be drawn to men who exude passion, confidence, and those that are spontaneous, those with fiery and adventurous spirit. Their boldness and willingness to take risks could spark her interest, as well as their energetic, action-oriented approach to life. She may also appreciate a man who inspires her with his daring nature and bring excitement and unpredictability into her life. That wraps up our exploration of Irene's natal chart. I hope this gave you a deeper insight into her life and character. Thanks for tuning in as always, and bye for now.